Hello and welcome back to Shulchan HaRav. We continue in Hilchos, Netilas, Yadaim, Siman Kuf Samach Aleph, and we pick it up with Sif Hey. Hadayoy v'hatseva, ink or dye, lechem, if they're moist, einam chaytitzim, they're not a chatzitzim ibnei shenimachim b'mayim, because they're going to like melt off with the water. When the water goes on, it's like the water, washes them away. However, Yaveshim Chaitzim, if they've dried onto the hand, that's going to be a chatzitza. That's if you can like feel the ink or the dye that's on your hand dried, like you can feel that it's there. That's going to be a chatzitza. If it's just a color that your hands have been colored by the dye, but the dye itself has not dried. There's no leftover dried up dye. Then it's not a chatzitza. Umisha who tseveya, a person who does dyeing for a living, then the dye is not a chatzitza, even if there's actual dried up pieces of dye on his hands. Or someone who's a sheichet, or a katzav, or a butcher, and his hands are constantly dirty from blood. It's not a chatzitza. Someone who does sells oily products for a living, or oil itself, fats. But even though most people would be makbid, they would not want this stuff on their hands. Since the majority of the people who are in these lines of work, if they work as a butcher, etc., they work with fats, they're not makbid. They took this on as their livelihood, so they don't seem to care if that's on them. So it's not it is not a chatzitza for them. Avala acher, but somebody else, who's not used to this kind of thing, he does not want these substances on his hands, then they are chatzitza, even if he himself isn't makbid, but majority of people would be makbid who don't work in these jobs. Even the people who are not makbid, it's going to be a chatzitza for them if they're not in that line of work. Women who have a custom of dyeing their hands for purposes of beauty, or similar things like that, then that dye would not be a chatzitza for them either. This is only when it's on a smaller part of the hand, a minority part of the hand. If the majority of the hand is covered in something that has a substance to it, you can feel it on your hands, then it's chaytzeitz. It's a chatzitza. But even for people who don't care about this typically, it will still be a chatzitza for them because of the substantial amount that's on there. Have a great day.